lot of times I'm driving, there's nothing to do, and I shuffle through the radio before I unglue. There's a lot of red on ways, it's traffic, I'm screwed, and I'm wired a bit different than a regular dude. It's not a bad thing, I embrace it, it's true. The radio don't stimulate brain chemistry fluid. The Buddha found nirvana and the Four Noble Truths. Through a meditative process, right action he proved. For me, I require the use of a tool, a detector, pin, pointer, shovel, and beach scoop. I'm meant to work the dirt with my history crew, but everywhere I look, my interest taboo. Most people choose Bieber over Tippecanoe. What does a detectorist listen to when the radio is full of bad music and news? I need an alternative for me to peruse. Beyond Sight and Sound gets fantastic reviews. A metal detecting show where my thought bubble brews. Thank you, Josh Kimmel, for inviting me to a detecting dork out with guests like yours truly.
Are you looking for a high-quality beach and sand scoop? Are you trying to take your hunting to the extreme? How about an American-based company that stands behind their product and everything they sell? Then check out our friends over at XTREME Scoops. John has been making scoops for some time now and makes a quality beach and sand scoop to take your hunting to the next level. XTREME Scoops recently released their new sand shredder that works great in the water and on the beach. And if you're a new Equinox user, you may want to check out his Surfmaster X3 that can trap those small targets you new Equinox users are finding out there. XTREME Scoop's company approach is let's do it right. So do it right, buy it once, and go to the extreme. XTREMEScoops.com. That's XTREME scoops.com. Caution. Please do not operate motor vehicles or power equipment while under the influence of this show. Listening to this show could cause side effects such as bouts of laughter, violent binges of cabin fever, and even dreams of silver and gold. Please be advised. Now that the fine print is out of the way, on with the show. All right, the fine print's out of the way. It's time to roll with the show. We're back and we're live once again. You are listening to Beyond Sight and Sound, metal detecting and treasure hunting radio for all the really cool digging people out there. Just a couple minutes late, fashionably. That's alright. You'll have that from time to time, definitely. Links in the description, first and foremost. Our friends over at Shooters and Prospectors, our friends at XTREME Scoops, XP Team USA, TheRingFinders, All Metal Militia Facebook group, Metal Detecting NYC, can't forget them. Big shout out to them, obviously, for the music. And for those that have been waiting and watching and listening, obviously, you know it's that time of the year. Actually, it's almost to the day that time of the year. I believe when I was looking back through posts, the last fall field safety and medical awareness show we did was actually back last year. It would have fell on the 13th, I believe. So yeah, we're pretty much to the day for our annual fall field safety and medical awareness show. Obviously, those of you that have been longtime followers of the show know that we do these shows twice a year. We have our spring field safety and medical awareness, our fall field safety and medical awareness, and those are always done for quite some time now with Barb Connell, because she is an asset in this arena. It's definitely her forte for this sort of thing. She's definitely got plenty of background to speak from for it. So I guess before we get any further, let's get Barb in here. Barb, I'm going to give you a chance to mention your training, I guess, before we get on with this.
Training? Do I have training? Just joking, and I'm sorry you were late. It was my fault. I have a new laptop, and it did not want to cooperate with Spreaker tonight. Oh, the Lord. I became an EMT when I was 19 after my dad had a major heart attack at home, who I did CPR on, and he survived. He passed a couple years ago, but he lived till 85. He had that heart attack when he was 49 years old. I then went to paramedic school, became a nurse. I have a master's in nursing education. And I worked in the ICU for, 11 and a half years, in the emergency department about 3 years. So, I just have a little bit of experience.
Just a bit. Nice. Well, I guess that runs it, right up to pretty much current day.
Yeah, and I thought about my PhD, but as we say, a BS is bull, you know what, and MS is just more of it, and a PhD, it's just piled higher and deeper, so I think I'll opt not to get that degree.
Just more letters, more alphabet at the end of the name.
Exactly, and I'd rather have MD for metal detector after my name than anything else.
Right, or just stick with Dirt Pirate.
That's it. I love detecting, and you know what? I needed this weekend to regroup, and when you get out of work and go to Virginia and get back at Sunday and go to work for 5 days, I so needed this weekend.
Right. Well, at least...
I did a little research before I went, and I've got some new things to talk about. And, of course, we'll talk about some of our old stuff, but,
Yeah, I have mentioned to people before, sometimes it may seem like we're beating a dead horse covering Lyme's disease, but it is a very serious issue and topic that people do need to keep in their mind and remain aware of. And proof and evidence of, basically, some of the posts that I made about last year's Fall Field Safety and Medical Awareness show were getting commented on earlier this week because of the posts about Lyme's disease and things of that nature, where people were chiming in, and I was telling them, well, you know, we do these field safety and medical awareness shows twice a year. We're coming right up to our fall field safety and medical awareness. You should drop by. So it just goes to show that information's out there for posterity. People are listening and they are interested.
Well, Scott just put CPR is now only chest compressions. No more mouth to mouth. No. Sorry. If somebody I knew was to drop dead in front of me, I'm going to give a mouth to mouth. They train emergency hospital workers different than they do the public. The public, we teach you just pump hard and fast and just do compression. But for folks in the medical arena, if we have an ambu bag, we're going to bag you, you know. We're going to do CPR, chest compressions, and we're going to give you oxygen. But if it's somebody I know, I remember in paramedic school, my teacher looked at everyone and said, there was only like 12 or 13 of us in the class, and said, how many of you here have given mouth to mouth? And besides the teacher and myself, only one other person raised their hand. And I looked at him, I said, but I knew every single person I locked lips with living in a small town.
Well, yeah. I mean, I have their... Especially, say, 20 years ago, it may not have been such a big deal, and now there is a little more of a big deal in that area where, you know, they don't necessarily expect you to, they don't necessarily hold it against you. It's kind of up to the administering discretion, so to speak, I guess would be a good way to put that.
Well, now we have the barrier, things that you put over their head that you can blow through. It has a one-way valve in it.
That is true.
I carry that in my car.
There you go. You never know when you may need one.
Yeah, you can pick them up for, you know, a couple bucks. So, the reason they're saying just pump hard and fast is because you have tons of oxygen in your blood before you drop dead. And so if you just do compressions, all of that oxygen in your blood, your cells are going to suck it up. But eventually, guess what? That does run out.
Right. Kind of like the whole thing of if you think you're having a heart attack, a lot of people don't realize if there's no one around, if you can at least try to force yourself to continue to cough deep and hard, it could quite possibly wind up saving your life.
I think that's fiction, but the best thing you can do is not deny you're having a heart attack.
Well, yeah, there's been a lot of people in that situation. No, it can't be that.
Yeah, you know, if it looks like a duck, walks like a duck, it's probably a duck. Same thing with a heart attack, you know. And, you know, you can take some GI stuff, and it may help if you're having a heart attack. If it doesn't help at all, then you probably are having a heart attack.
Right. Don't just sit there and, well, let's see what happens, and I'll wait. If I'm feeling worse in an hour, I'll go. You're probably gonna go.
Exactly. My dad had his first heart attack at 30, his second at 49. He was in a coma for 10 days and surprisingly lived for having just basic life support. But with advanced life support, I can tell you, they got to get to you within 6 minutes. Electricity is the only thing that's going to save your butt if you're in a bad rhythm. And TPA or Renovate, Alteplase, any of the clot busters, you got to get, the quicker you get it, the better off you have a chance of living.
Right. Exactly.
And going to break that sternum. Well, I can tell you, Scott, I don't think I've ever broke a sternum, but I've seen some really big guys. It's like, don't. She's too small for you to be doing CPR with 2 hands. You know, if you're a big guy and you're 180 plus, do not do 2-hand CPR. Do 1 hand. Look at how you're decompressing that chest. You know, 2.5 inches is all you got to go. Don't try to put their breastbone into their spine, you know?
Right.
You can kill them really quick.
Well, and I guess if I were ever in that situation, you know, yeah, it could be painful, but I'd much rather wind up having a couple of broken ribs or something than the alternative of not surviving.
Exactly, but the best advice is if you're having chest pain, here's the biggest tip that I taught my students. 5 a.m, 50 years old, male, you're done for. Okay? If you wake up 5:30 in the morning and you can't catch your breath and, you know, not everybody has chest pain. We have people with diabetes, neuropathy, all these things that they're not going to have the classic heart attack. They may just have a little bit of pain, but they're short of breath. Well, guess what? It's because your heart isn't pumping normally and getting enough oxygen to your brain and your lungs and everywhere else. And that's your clue. You better go.
Yeah, and you do make a very valid point. I mean, good example with myself. with my medical history, you know, I've completely lost pretty much all feeling in the left, well, at least left forearm. So I may not notice certain signs.
Exactly. And so if, you know, you wake up and you're like, I can't catch my breath, what the heck's going on? Go to the hospital. It's better to go. I know the hospitals aren't cheap, but you know what? They can't take away your birthday, but a heart attack can.
I'm alright if they take away my birthday.
Yeah, you know, but, you know, you just tell them you'll give them $10 a month and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But better
exactly.
To be alive, better to be this side of the ground. We all like digging on the other side, but you can't do that if you're not on this side.
There you go. Live to dig another day.
Exactly.
So, we've got quite a few items to go through, I guess, for tonight.
Ooh, Lord. And again, I apologize for being late. I was so, like, took my bath early, cooked early, whooped my dinner down, did a go live, and then my computer didn't want to start, and it just went downhill. There's some hot topics, but I'm going to try to stay in line of the way I took my notes, because it makes more sense than if I jump around. But I know a lot of us have diseases, illnesses that we look at herbal medicine, so I'd like to talk a little about some of those. Also like to talk, I have some more new info on CBD and vaping. Got some pros and cons there. Got some good information also on safety, being out there where we go detecting from the U.S. Forestry Service has some great info. I was like, man, people should visit their website before they go out hiking in the dang mountains, you know?
Right. It's not just handy for maps.
Exactly. And then I do have a little info on MS and some antihistamines and about having your emergency contact info with you. And then we had talked about jellyfish and some of the folklore of how to treat those. I did a lot of research on that. It was interesting depending on what website you went to, what they said worked and didn't work.
That is true. You will get some different answers depending on where you wind up on the internet. I mean, many times we say Google is your friend, but sometimes it can lead you astray.
Oh, yeah, you know, and I know there are people out there that believe everything Google tells them. Well, guess what?
Well, of course.
Because Google doesn't mean it's true.
Right, it must be true. It was on the internet. Somebody shared it on Facebook, so that makes it fact.
You know, the National Institute of Health, NIH, the CDC, the U.S. Forestry Department, you know, Wikipedia is not true. I can post on Wikipedia that all elephants have 3 legs, and unless somebody catches it, it'll stay there for a while.
Yeah, I don't necessarily... I hate to share Wikipedia links because I don't necessarily look at them as a reliable source to cite.
No, they're not. And they can be, depending on who it is that posted that information.
Exactly. Well, it sounds like we've got a lot to get into then.
Yeah, I'm going to start with ginseng, and I did start a ginseng crop. I haven't checked it. You can't plant it just anywhere. You have to have the right location, and facing south is not one, and me being a dumb Yankee, bought land facing the north, which I have the ginseng benefit, but the benefit of not having any sunshine on my driveway, which can be a little hazardous to my health in the wintertime. But what I did find, which is interesting, is that since 1750, which is quite a long time ago, the Cherokee Indians here in the mountains exported ginseng to China. So I was like, whoa.
That is actually very cool.
Yeah. But then I also found out that if you look at the different, we have the American ginseng, and then there's the Asian ginseng, and there is a difference. They consider ours to be a cool, calming type of tonic, where the Asian, they consider it a hot stimulant. It's a mild stimulant, but so there is a difference on how it works in the body. It does have antioxidant properties. Here's a good one, guys. Pay attention. It can help with erectile dysfunction if you have that problem. It can boost your immune system. It may help with cancer, but it does increase your energy, and it lowers your capillary blood glucose, which, with all the diabetics out there, that is a good thing. So it's about $500 a dried pound, which you need quite a bit, but that's a lot of money. So I've thrown out 1,000 seeds over the last year and a half. You do have to plant it in the fall. The bad thing is you can't harvest it for 5 to 7 years, but it doesn't cost that much. It's about $28 for 500 seeds. So a lot of people are getting into the ginseng market in this area because it's the perfect location for it.
Absolutely, I agree. I've even we've even touched at times on different episodes about the ginseng hunters out there. Some people make some pretty good money at it.
Oh, yeah. The thing is, there's a lot of poachers, and
exactly.
You will go to jail if you go to the National Forest and try to poach ginseng. They catch a couple people every year. A lot of the trails that they know it's on, they do have field cams now, so that they can catch perpetrators.
Right. Very good point.
I do want to say one thing about herbals. You know, you really need to consult your doctor. And I had a patient who I knew had been in the ICU 1 or 2 times, and his wife got this great kit that we're going to go herbal, and they went to some coop down in Atlanta, and he had what's called atrial fibrillation, where the top 2 chambers of your heart shake like jelly. They don't beat. They just kind of bounce around because all those signals. And she took him off his DIZ, which is what we put people on for AFib, and took him off other cardiac and hypertensive meds. And this guy came in to the ICU in major crisis. His heart rate was like 38. He looked like crap. And it took us days to turn him around.
Yeah, I mean, not saying that herbal remedies aren't a viable option as far as a treatment plan, but in all reality, yes, you should check with a healthcare professional first. Don't just assume for yourself and switch the treatment plan on your own, because it may not be the best idea. And not all of these herbal remedies by any means are a cure-all. They may even help along with your prescribed medication, but I don't know if I would just go solely herbal remedy.
And if you want to do that, seek a professional herbalist, not just some kook that, make sure they have some of those initials behind their name, like certified dietitian or certified herbalist, or, make sure that they know what they're doing. But there can be a lot of side effects if you take too much.
Yes, there can.
Yeah, nausea, vomiting, headache, dizziness, upset stomach. You can even have allergic reaction. So a lot of times they want you to start at a lower dose and increase it. And that's why it's so important you let your doctor know and have a reputable person that deals with herbs. Because, you know, like they stopped some important meds and didn't take anything that could substitute it.
Right. Exactly.
And then I just wrote some of the weird things, because I hear things, I take black cohosh, and it does help for women for painful periods in menopause, not that you guys care about that. Echinacea, I can tell, I swear by it. God, 10, 12 years ago, we were going to Florida, and me and my ex, and the people were staying with, like, everybody's here sick, and I'm like, well, we're coming no matter what. So I went and bought echinacea at the health store, and I'm like, we're going to stay with people sick, and we popped one 3 times a day, and before we left, during the whole time we were there, a couple of days after we got back, and neither one of us got sick. So it does boost your immune system. So, but you shouldn't take it every day. You take it when, you know, your better half gets sick. I'm going to start popping my echinacea, and you may want some too. It'll help you to get over a cold quicker too. Evening primrose can help with arthritis. Garlic, it says, has some cardiovascular, but it can help with if you have high cholesterol and triglycerides, you know, all you bacon people out there, you may want to...
They love their bacon in the chat.
Yeah, bacon, because I know everybody loves bacon. I love bacon too.
And it's also a, garlic, natural antibiotic.
Yes, it is. And ginseng also can help lower your stress. So if you have a stressful job, you might want to start taking some ginseng. I am so glad that I changed jobs. I'm still with the same company, but my stress level has gone from 8,000 to about 100.
Well, I thought that's why we all metal detect.
It is. I just can't find the time after going to Virginia, but I have a 4-day weekend paid Thanksgiving, and I have seen a bunch of dirt on campus, so I am looking forward because they'll all be gone. There won't be 100 people on campus. I'm going to hit their dirt.
Nice.
Yeah, it's the biggest green space, and I think they're going to put a building right in the middle of it, so I got to hit it before they build something. Green tea can help. I don't like it. I'm going to stick with my black tea. Sorry. It's the only caffeine that I take. So there are a lot of, you know, things, but please research it before you say, hey, I'm going to do this.
Oh, absolutely, because not saying everybody's that way, but there are some people out there with some very serious health issues that if they get the wrong idea in their head, they're doing more damage than good by just leaping onto the herbal bandwagon.
Oh, exactly. And here's something a lot of people don't realize. You don't get vitamin D unless you can take a supplement. They now have it, but years ago they didn't. But all you need is sunlight. If you're taking in enough vitamin A in your diet, the sunlight converts it to vitamin D. Most foods don't have a lot of vitamin D. And so with our nursing home folks, because they don't get out in the sunshine, the majority, we test them all for vitamin D deficiency. And a lot of them have a calcium deficiency, so we give them the Octal with the vitamin D boost to it.
Exactly.
The literature that I read, and it was from a reliable source, I didn't write it down, but they said probably 90% of Americans have a vitamin D deficiency.
Well, and realistically, I mean, a lot of people, unless they know the signs to look for, you're not even, chances are good you could be deficient in vitamin D and you're not even going to realize it.
Well, the bad thing is your vitamin D sustains your normal levels of calcium and phosphorus, which is what makes healthy bones. It also sustains your muscles and nerves, your immune system. So if you're not getting enough, guess what, folks?
Exactly. Which is why a lot of people, well, pretty much anybody that I can think of right offhand, anybody that deals with MS is already vitamin D deficient. It'll rip it right out of your system.
Exactly. And so, and we're probably, out of the 10% that don't have a deficiency, probably 6% of those are metal detectors because we get out.
Right, they're out there in the sunshine.
Exactly. The thing is a lot of people will take vitamin A supplements. It is fat soluble, so you have to eat something with some fat in it for it to be absorbed. And people don't realize when you're taking vitamins, some are water soluble, some are fat soluble, and so you've got to ingest the right things with those vitamins for it to be absorbed into your system. Otherwise, it just goes right through you.
Right. And I also see Chuck posted in the chat that garlic was a mild antibiotic, like we had talked about, but was actually used in World War I for that purpose. Yes.
The thing is it's not going to take care of any of those really big bugs.
No.
And then I had differences on honey. Depends on what website. Can be good for allergies, but everything that I looked at, you really should be eating your local honey and not, from 2,000 miles away. It's not going to help with your allergies.
I know of a few people that actually use honey as a supplement in their daily regimen, so to speak, but normally that is what they do as well. They buy local, home-based organic honey.
Oh, absolutely. The only time I buy Walmart is when I go to digging in Virginia. I buy a bear to take with me, just because what I buy locally is really expensive and I don't want to bust it traveling there and back. But I don't use sugar. Of course, I do have sugar, that 3 o'clock candy bar that picks you up,
Right.
And now, these two kind of hand in hand. CBD oil, we've talked about in the past, and there is a difference. Some have THC, some don't. So you need to, depending on your profession, you need to know where it's coming from. Does it have any in it? Does it not? Are you okay with it, having it, depending on your job? Do they do blood tests or not? But there's a lot, and I got this from a government site too. It helps with pain, and we know that. Our cancer patients do good with it. It can reduce anxiety, depression, alleviate cancer symptoms, nausea, vomiting. It can help with acne. That I did not know. It does have neuroprotective properties, which for like you with MS, that is great.
Neuroprotectant, meaning that it helps preserve the myelin sheath.
Yes.
Nice.
And it can help with heart health, and it can help to decrease your blood pressure. There's questionable whether it has any antipsychotic effects, but there was a lot of literature that it can help with substance abuse treatment, and I thought that was great. It does have some anti-tumor effects and diabetes prevention. So I couldn't find anything bad about it unless you went to some, crap site. There's always going to be somebody against it, but everything that, it does have some side effects or can. And you got to remember with medicines, herbals, anything, if it says, people go, oh my God, my doctor wants me to take this drug. Look at all the side effects.
Right,
well,
up to and including death.
Yeah, but guess what? They may have tested that drug on 1,000 people and one person died.
Therefore, it has to be listed because the potential is there.
And was it connected to that medicine, or did they die because of something else? It has to be listed. So when you look at side effects of medicines, it doesn't mean you're going to get them all. There is just like a very slim chance, and that's why a nursing drug book will go, have side effects in bold, and then all these others not in bold, because the ones in bold are the most common.
Most common, yeah.
What most people experience. All the ones not in bold, somebody had it, but it might have been one person out of 1,000.
Right.
But side effects of CBD, diarrhea, changes in appetite, changes in weight. He said it can cause fatigue. I guess I would think if that depends whether you're got some THC in it or not.
Well, and that probably depends on the strain that it came from, too.
Mm-hmm. But it can, this is interesting. It does interfere with meds that have grapefruit warnings. And there are a lot of cardiac meds that say do not eat grapefruit. So if you're on one of those meds, you need to change it if you need the CBD oil.
That is a good point.
Yeah, I didn't realize that. I was and then it went on to tell what the grapefruit does. It interferes with P450, which helps you to metabolize your drug. And so if it interferes with that, you may not metabolize your drugs properly. So make sure if you're doing CBD that you're not on meds with a grapefruit warning.
Very good point. Although I don't know. I mean, grapefruit isn't necessarily a real popular choice for a lot of people, I wouldn't think.
Oh, it may be for those people in Florida. I had a grapefruit tree in my yard, and my neighbors would come over and steal my grapefruit.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a gorgeous grapefruit tree. It used to be Orange Grove Grapefruit Grove, and I had this big old grapefruit tree in my backyard. And the neighbors would just come to the gate and get them for breakfast, and they were all older, But it also said CBD oil may affect your statin drugs, which are for your cholesterol, and a couple of antibiotics, being Biaxin and Claritin, which is an antihistamine. So, if you're doing CBD, make sure your doctor knows. It's all in confidence, but let them know what you're doing so that they can make sure it's not affecting any of the drugs that you're taking.
Right. Very good point. And in many states now, there are different programs in place, so a lot of people have become more receptive to CBD, whether it has a THC content or otherwise.
Exactly. And I did a lot of research on vaping. They kind of go hand in hand, not really, but kind of. Because all this hype of this kid just got like a bilateral lung transplant from vaping, and I heard the doctor on the radio station, he was like, I've never seen lungs that look like that before, but they never would tell what product he was vaping. Was he making his own? I hear Juul is one of the worst ones you can be doing. But it killed me because they just labeled it as vaping, which is bullcrap, because I know people that have vaped for years and have absolutely no problems.
Right, I have to agree. I think the jury's still out on that myself as well. I've heard a lot of people say, "Oh my God, you're going to get popcorn lung syndrome or whatever." And I think what we're seeing in the news, they may not be saying it, but I think what we're seeing in the news is a lot of the people that are having lung problems they are trying to link to vaping is probably primarily due to the fact of the liquids that they're using or what they're adding to it that they shouldn't be.
Yeah, well, I did get it off one of the government sites that the FDA is evaluating different vaping, looking into these deaths and illnesses, but they're evaluating the items for THC, nicotine, vitamin E acetate, and other chemicals, and they said they have not narrowed it down to one product. But here's some scary statistics, though. Over 3.6 million middle school and high school kids are vaping.
Right, that is actually rather disturbing, because if I remember right anymore, I mean, they've tried to put regulations in place where you have to be a minimum of 18 to even get your hands on these items. But apparently the regulations aren't. It's just like with anything else, alcohol, tobacco, the regulations aren't going to work 100%.
And a lot of states are now making it either illegal to sell vape or putting an age limit on it, making sure they have warnings. But I did find one thing on the Juuls. It said their vape liquid comes from nicotine salt found in your loose leaf tobacco versus traditional free-based nicotine in other e-cigarettes. And it has a higher dose and a more addictive concentration.
Oh. Well, no wonder Juul seems to be so popular as far as vaping units go.
Yeah, they're making you become addicted to it.
Right.
So the one thing, and this I got from Johns Hopkins, so I'd say they're pretty, reliable. But they did list pros and cons of vaping, which I thought was, it's just don't do it. It's here. Let us share with you, the public, the pros and cons. So there are pros for vaping. There's less chemicals than cigarettes. In cigarettes, there's about 7,000 chemicals, and there's a ton less in vaping. It does reduce the stigma of being a smoker, which, we have decreased in numbers over the years. There's a much lower cost, and it does come in different flavors, so you can find something that, and you can lower the nicotine where, when cigarettes, it used to be you could buy a light or an extra light, and then the FDA said you couldn't do that. So now you don't know if you're buying something, if it's regular strength, light, super light, because now we have silver and gold and platinum cigarettes. It's crazy.
Right. Well, with a lot of it now too, it's more. I think actually you now have the option to purchase. Well, as far as e-liquid, the option to purchase zero nicotine.
Yes. And that's what's good compared to cigarettes. You can get 24 milligram, 12, 6, 4, 2, and none. So you can still have that, vape sensation and not be getting the nicotine you do in cigarettes.
Right, and I'm not sure what happened there. I think we had Chuck trying to call in. I thought I had him, but apparently I don't.
Yeah, I probably kicked him off.
Whatever he had to add to it, he'll have to call back in.
The cons they listed, it is not FDA approved, where cigarettes do have an FDA warning. it's not approved as a way to quit by the FDA. 40% of the young users have never ever smoked, but they're vaping.
Right, and I think that's what a lot of people, as far as legislation, are going after right now, is basically they're looking at it as vaping as the gateway.
Yeah.
To get them involved in the other things.
And what they said is that a lot of them are doing it because of the flavors appeal to them, and, I don't have to smoke. I can just, puff on my bubble gum or my spearmint or whatever.
Right.
The thing you have to remember, nicotine does increase your blood pressure. It does increase your levels of adrenaline, which increases your heart rate, and it can cause headaches, and it is as addictive as heroin and cocaine, per John Hopkins.
Wow. That's, yeah. Let's see here. Chuck did try to call back in, but I don't think we've got him, so I'll have to drag him in, I guess.
Oh, drag him a little bit further first.
Yeah, I'll see what I can do here. Not sure what the...
I'll be back in 2 seconds.
Not sure what the deal is there with trying to get him through. Let's see, try it again here. Maybe. No. Nope, not able to do that. So I guess what we'll do is we'll wait for Chuck to quit calling, and I will get him in here one way or the other. I'm not sure. We went through some updates last night, actually, and apparently I have something just a little off with the system. But we'll see what happens. We'll see what we can do about that, and if we can work around it. We'll give it a shot, though. See how that goes.
I'm back.
Oh, okay. All right.
I need the little girl's room. I'm sorry.
Let's see here. Yeah, not real sure what's going on. It looks like it's a good thing we got you in, because it looks like we're having some sort of an issue with the phone lines tonight.
Oh, well, that's okay. They can always, call in another night. I'm always in the chat on your shows normally.
Right.
But yeah, and I have people I work with that are like huffing and smoking. It's like I'm working on it, I have good days, bad days, But it's like,
yeah, some days are a little more stressful.
Yeah, but I sit at a desk now and type crap into a computer that I have to send to the federal government, which is a little bit of a stress, because it's like, if something's wrong and the feds show up, my name is on that document that I sent to CMS,
Right.
So there's sometimes during the day, especially when I'm doing a V assessment, that I'm like,
there you are.
Away from this thing.
Right. Okay, I was finally able to drag him in somehow. One way or the other, we've got him here now.
Well, I called and it rang and rang, and it went to a busy signal, and then I called again and it just rang constantly. So, I don't know why, but it was goofy. I do have a question for Barb there. I don't know what she's heard or knows about it, but acetaminophen, your Tylenol-based stuff and things like that, to throw a brand out there. I've been hearing that that's not very good for you. It does affect the liver badly. And I wondered if she knew anything about that.
It can affect your liver and kidneys, actually, if you're not careful. But I think that's in high doses. But we'll see what Barb's got to say.
Okay, so I can tell you, Tylenol is safe as long as you use it as it is prescribed by the manufacturer. If you want to kill yourself, and I shouldn't say this, but
Not that we're condoning.
Just down a bottle of Tylenol, it will do the thing. It'll be a slow, painful death. You could shoot yourself in the foot, and it would be better. But Tylenol gets a bad name. The thing that we have to worry about with Tylenol is we have oxycodone and hydrocodone that have Tylenol in it. Some don't. Most of it does. And so if you're taking one of those drugs, and you can tell it because it'll say, I hate this. People don't realize that APAP is Tylenol, acetaminophen. And so if you're taking hydrocodone / APAP and it has 325, that 325 is Tylenol. And I can tell you when I started this nursing home, I had to call doctor. I said, you realize you got all these people on hydrocodone with APAP and they're getting Tylenol twice a day scheduled? That if somebody gave them another PRN dose of Tylenol, they would be over their limit for their age. And she was like, whoa, thanks for catching that. Change all of their drugs without Tylenol. And so we've gone that way almost across the board at the nursing home because a lot of our older dementia patients can't tell you they're having pain, so they get Tylenol twice a day, 1,000 milligrams twice a day. It is not going to hurt you. But we monitor their liver and kidney functions every 6 months. So if you see a bump up in your LFTs, your liver function test, or your bunning creatinine, which are your kidneys, then, yeah, you need to tell these people to back off and not take Tylenol.
Right, because in high enough doses, it will shut your kidneys down.
And knock on wood, I've been very fortunate, other than a few minor things that I've had to have done over the years. And I did have a bout with Lyme disease many years ago, and they caught it right away, and I've been fortunate. But we kind of watch things. We're not, Jill and I, you know, my son seems to think he wants us to live forever. He's always bringing us all these different vitamins and stuff, different foods, and some of it is most god-awful tasting stuff. And I always, you know, he's here, try this, you know, smell it first. I'm going, that doesn't even smell good. I ain't trying it.
Well, I guess his heart's in the right place. He's got good intentions.
Yes, it is. But boy, he brings some concoctions home. He gets into holistic stuff and all this kind of stuff, and it's like, no thanks. I always figured if it smelled bad, it would taste bad. If it tastes bad, it isn't always that good for you.
And Tylenol, the recommended daily dosage limit was 4,000 milligrams a day, and Tylenol recently lowered that to 3,000 about a year or two ago. And they did that because of the geriatric population should always have a lower dose than the non-geriatric. So instead of changing the label to say, if you're under 60, take 4,000. If you're over 60, only take 3,000. They lowered it, everyone, to 3,000.
There you go. Because usually I buy Motrin. And
it tears me up. I cannot take Motrin, which is ibuprofen.
Right.
But that's what my one doctor said. He said if you're having joint problems or you're feeling, you know, that kind of stuff, Motrin would actually help that better than acetaminophen. It actually takes swelling down.
True, but ibuprofen or Motrin is in the same class as Aleve or naproxen. So you can take one or the other. So I always go with the naproxen instead of ibuprofen. It doesn't upset my stomach, where ibuprofen, I'm in the bathroom puking.
Wow. See, with me, I can eat the ibuprofen like Tic Tacs, and they don't seem to do anything.
Well, the one thing, so we have Tylenol that may affect your liver and kidneys. We have ibuprofen and naproxen that can put you at risk for gastrointestinal bleed. So, you know, it's like, which one is better than the other? I think I'd rather be able to monitor my liver, then end up bleeding out of my gut one day because of too much ibuprofen.
Right, lesser of the evils.
Yeah. So, somebody put aspirin as number one. Scott did. Well, I'm going to tell you, aspirin is an antiplatelet inhibitor. People think it's a blood thinner. It isn't a blood thinner. It does not thin your blood. What it does is make your platelets are sticky. So when I cut myself with a knife, my platelets run to that place, and because they're sticky, they all clump together and they clot you off.
Right.
Well,
It's not that it's a blood thinner, it's more of an anticoagulant.
It makes your platelets not sticky. So they all go to the scene, but they can't stick to each other and form a clot, and so it's like baby aspirin bleed a lot longer than us not on baby aspirin.
Good point.
Okay.
Yeah, it doesn't thin their blood. It just prevents the platelets from sticking together with the fibrin and everything else that makes you clot.
Okay.
All right. Good information to know.
That was the question I had for you, Barb. I just wondered if you knew about that ever being a major problem for people to take. Because if I'm out detecting for 8 hours a day and we're doing it for 7 straight days, in the middle of the week I got aches and pains, I'm taking some acetaminophen or Motrin there when I go in to crash, and then some in the morning when I go out, because after swinging for that long, I don't care what detector you got, your arm starts to bother you.
Yeah, there's some pain reliever somewhere in the regiment.
Like I said, the daily now new limit is 3,000 milligrams, so you can take 2 500 in the morning, 2 500 in the night, and you're well with the 3,000 daily limit that Tylenol says to take.
Well, a couple shots of Jameson's takes the pain out of the knee.
That's what I was going to say. You get yourself a nice swizzle stick and have a drink, and you're
there
good.
You go. There you go.
Do that and take a hot bath. That'll help relieve your joint pain. It'll all be better.
There you go. When you're at, places like DIV and you're out for all day and you do it, and I know you go, Barb, all week long, or you're over in England and you're trudging through mud and you've got all kinds of stuff going on. By the end of the day, you're wore out, period. And you do it for 7 straight days. You get up at sunrise, you eat a quick breakfast, you hop in the van or your vehicle, you head out to your digging spot, and you work all day long in that, rain, shine, or otherwise. And because you've traveled a long ways, whether, like I said, DIV, England, whatever, go on some of these gold prospecting deals, and you're moving rock and you're throwing stuff. Yeah, it takes a toll on you.
Absolutely, it can.
It does, and I can tell you when I go to DIV, I take an arsenal of drugs. I take my Tylenol, I take my Aleve, I take my Pepsid, I take probiotics with me. Never leave home without those, trust me.
Okay.
Only because if I had food poisoning, and if I hadn't had 20-pack of probiotics on me, and I buy the good ones, they're like $16, $17 a box. I don't buy Walmart brand. I took my pharmacist's advice and bought the most expensive ones. And with my food poisoning at DIV, I popped 2 Pepsid twice a day and my probiotics 4 times a day, and I survived a lot quicker.
There you go. There you go. Let me. You mentioned echinacea. And I tried that for a while and it never really made a difference for me other than one breaking open and it tastes like I was chewing hay. And,
that's a good point too. Some of this stuff, it'll work for some people and not for others.
It didn't do a thing for me. It didn't prevent anything, but some people swear by it. And you take it, do you?
Echinacea is really an immune booster. So it's not really going to do anything for you but prevent you from getting sick. But you know, it's like smoking. If you smoke, your immune system is boosted already. You know,
Right.
You have those nicotine allergens and all chemicals and all that. So I only use echinacea when I'm going to work and flu season hits and everybody's coming down with the flu. I'm going to pop a bunch of echinacea for like a week, but then once everybody is over it, I'm going to stop it.
Now, do you get a flu shot every year? I do.
I do. I have to. If now in healthcare, if you do not get a flu shot, you have to wear a mask from October 31st to April something. If you are taking care of, if that's in a nursing home, a hospital, if you don't get a flu shot, then you have to wear a mask every day at work until flu season is over.
Yeah. And there again,
I
if that's something that people may have a question about, they definitely want to contact their healthcare provider about, because for some of us out there, flu shots are a very bad idea.
Yep. Yeah. When they did the swine flu thing years ago, when that big purge was on with that, I went and got that, and I got sick. That shot laid me low. I mean, I was sick for a week. I mean, I might as well just, the way I looked at it, let's go see the doctor, get a shot, and he gives you a flu and sends you home. And it literally did. And it was something in they used an egg base to transfer it to you, and it laid me low, and I did not get a flu shot for many years after that. They said they had that fixed and cleaned up and it wouldn't happen again, and it hasn't, and it's helped keep the flu away, but boy, I just didn't believe in them for a long time.
Okay, first of all, you cannot catch the flu from a flu shot. I don't care where you heard you could, you can't. It's an inactivated virus, which means it cannot make you sick. If you have a reaction to the preservative or the egg base, then that's why now we do a survey saying, are you allergic to egg or any egg-based product? Because if they are, then they have to have the preservative free. And so...
Well, that's what laid me low, was that egg-based thing, and it made me sick. And a lot of other people during that period really got ill. In fact, it even caused some deaths.
That's right.
And so if you've had a reaction to a flu shot, it has to do with the preservative. I can tell you, in 1992, I worked on an HIV/AIDS for, and we had to have a TB skin test every 6 months. I did not react to the first one. The second one, I had a goose egg on my arm 92 hours later. The next time I got it, nothing. And the fourth time I got it, I had a goose egg at 10 hours after, major allergic reaction, and it's to the preservative. So I can never take a TB test again because they're like, you could go into anaphylaxis because you went from 92 to 10 hours. The next time it could be instantaneous.
Wow.
Well, I'll back out of here, Barb. Good show you got going, and we'll chat with you all later.
All right.
Thanks for calling.
Have a good night.
You too.
Thanks.
The next thing, this is like a 1-second clip on fire NATOs. I've watched the Weather Channel, and these massive fires, they're talking about fire NATOs, and I'm like, what the heck is a fire NATO? Well, the car fire, destroyed Redding, California in 35 minutes. And the reason they call it a fire NATO is the wind speeds are of 65 meters per second, which equals an EF3 tornado. I thought that was just something I just had to bring to the show.
Right. I mean, anybody that's ever had a good bonfire going or something, they've seen it on a very minimal level.
Yeah. And I thought that, an EF3 tornado, that means fire is spinning at that same speed. It's like, which one do you want to hit you, the fire or the wind, It's like, God, help us.
Well, I'll opt for neither.
Yeah, me too. The Weather Channel does have some weird stuff. That one guy, How to Survive, he comes up with some stuff that's, like, out there. I only had a few more things to talk about, and I'll try to do it real quick. We talked about histamine blockers. We've talked about Pepcid, which is famotidine versus Benadryl. And the difference is Benadryl is a first-generation histamine blocker, where famotidine is a second generation. And it just means they were made like years apart and they made it off of the other one. It's same, but it's different. The big thing when you have an allergic reaction, you have a release of histamine, which is where you get the swelling and the welts and all that. And then you get the itching and the hives and the runny nose and the itchy eyes. And so if you take an H1, which is Benadryl, it blocks that histamine. It actually attaches to your receptors. People don't realize that medications, it's all about receptors. Every organ you have has these little receptors, and they make a drug to hook onto those into that cell or nerve or organ, which is, I always teach my students about, Zofran. We have all these antiemetics which prevent you from puking, but guess what? You can take them and still puke. But if you give someone enough Zofran, they will not puke because it actually hooks all the receptors around their brain and blocks off the signal coming up from the gut that says, hey, I want to puke. Well, if it can't get to the vomiting center, you will not puke. So it's the same thing with histamines. It hooks onto all your different cells, which will prevent that itching and swelling to continue. The difference between the two, besides one's an H1 blocker, one's an H2, is that one takes longer than the other. Benadryl will start to work in like 10, 15 minutes, where Pepcid is going to take 20 to 40 minutes. That's like the only difference. The other difference between a first gen and a second gen is the second generation doesn't cross the blood-brain barrier, which is why you don't get drowsy. So I carry Pepcid because, especially at DIV or one of those events, if I am going to have a reaction, I don't want to take Benadryl, pass out in the field, nobody see me, and I'm found dead, you know?
Right.
And so, yeah, the Pepcid is going to take longer, but I do carry Benadryl, but I carry a low dose, 25 milligrams. But you can take up to 100, but if I took 100, I'd be snoozing or dead in the pasture. That's all there is to it.
Right.
And so that's why Pepcid doesn't make you drowsy, and it's why we tend to give Pepcid or Tagamet in the emergency room department. The other thing, if you know you're allergic to something, please carry an EpiPen. I know they're expensive. You can now get the generic. You can still use the EpiPen coupon, which go to myfreeepipen.com, and you can have up to $100 off. So if you do have insurance, you basically get your EpiPens for free.
There you go. Good. Glad you mentioned it. I was going to make that point, but you've got it covered.
Yeah, I get mine free every year. When I renew mine, I go online, I print a new coupon, I take it with me. Yes, I have to go up to the window. I've called in my script, but I have to go to the window so they can run my coupon so that I get it for free.
Right, but hey, you're saving $100 or whatever.
Exactly. You should get a 2-pack. Do not let your doctor prescribe you a 1-pack. You need a 2-pack because, and the reason they recommend it is about 10 years ago, they recalled them because they weren't filled with enough medication and it was not, being as effective as it should be. So now they tell everyone to carry a 2-pack. And know how to use it. Don't stick it in your purse. Don't leave it in your car. Heat will break it down. So you want it to be effective, so do not leave it in your car in hot weather.
Right.
And so I actually, hand my old ones. I usually fill mine 2 or 3 months before my old one expires, and I usually hand it off. I rip my script off of it and give it to somebody. I figured even when it expires, it's better than not having any if they don't have insurance.
There you go.
And I probably shouldn't say that, but oops.
Right. We didn't hear that here.
Yeah, you didn't hear that here. But now I want to talk about the U.S. Forestry, what they had to say. If you're going out on any camping event, any hiking, they tell you always take more than enough food and water than you think you need for the activity. Lots more.
Absolutely.
And that's because if something happens, if you only take food for a day, you're going out for a day hunt and something happens, your food's gone in a day and a half. So, take things that'll give you protein, give you energy. Always have a compass, but here was the good one. Know how to use it.
Exactly. That's the biggest thing. I mean, a lot of people, they wander into these areas with nothing at all, or rely on the GPS app on their phone or something like that. And you may not always have service. A little bit of at least rudimentary map reading skills and knowing how to use a compass could mean the difference between life and death.
And they tell you with a map to study it in advance. In case it gets wet, you lose it or whatever, to really know where you're going, what the terrain is. Look for landmarks. Have your compass. Hiking boots, a must. Additional socks and a layer of clothes. Have a backpack that you can put clothes, take clothes off, put clothes on. A blanket, a flashlight, matches, a lighter. And you should put your matches, dip them in wax. Then that'll prevent them from getting wet and getting ruined.
Or put them in a waterproof container, or just buy the waterproof matches.
Exactly. And check with your local rangers' offices for any warnings, which could be fires, bears, bear sightings, flooding, trails or road closures. And I was like, who thinks of that, I don't. I go off and do my thing, and I'm like, yeah. It's like here, being on the river, all of the rafting companies check in with Duke Power to see when they're opening up the gates out of the levee.
Right. Well, and there are some areas, too, that, I mean, you would, for a lot of people, they may not have a clue at all, and then find out the wrong way that they're in areas that are notorious for flash flooding, and to actually be there and see what a flash flood does, that's not the best way to experience it.
Well, my county's a tall county, and so the Continental Divide zigzags through it. And at the southern border, I mean, they can get snow and we have nothing. But you've got to remember everything, it's the Eastern Continental Divide, so I am west of it. So any rainfall that occurs on this side of the top flows my way. And so you could put in, the county goes, oh God, probably 60, 70 miles from top to bottom, which I know doesn't seem like much, but we have a massive river that goes from the south end of the county to the north, and it travels to the north because it's headed to the Mississippi. And so you could be 30, 40 miles away, and if they get a massive storm, at the southern end and they open up all of the floodgates and start lowering the water's going to increase down here or up here at our end. And people don't realize that the water runs from the southern part of the county to the northern part.
Right. It's going to come your way. You're going to have to wait for it to crest, and could be a big mess.
And so check for warnings. Tell someone your plans. And I do that. I always, let my better half know this is where I'm going metal detecting. I'll be gone this much time, If he's not here, I usually tell my mom I'm going out metal detecting. Call me in a couple hours, Always let somebody know you are.
Right. Or even two-way communication is a good thing to have on you. Even if you don't plan on using it, you've got it there in case you need it. And realistically, there's not a whole lot to getting your amateur radio license to utilize that option.
Yeah, and around here, you can have a cell phone signal and walk 10 feet across my deck and not have cell phone service.
Exactly.
But this is something interesting that I did not think of until I'm reading it, and I was like, oh, that makes so much sense. If you do get lost, stop and rest. If you're tired, stop. Don't
right. I mean, your worst enemy is panic.
Exactly. But here was something that when you stop to eat, so you're lost, or even if you're like Swansea and you're out doing the, 20-mile trek up the mountain, when you stop and eat, it's just like the swimming, and now it makes sense. Your mother always said, you can't go in the water for a half an hour after you ate. And you're like, oh, come on, Mom. You'll get cramps, blah, blah, blah. But it makes sense. And they went into great detail on the forestry. If I eat, and the minute I'm done eating, I decide, no, I gotta keep going because I'm lost. It's getting dark. Well, when you start walking, your body has to decide, am I going to spend my energy into walking, or am I going to spend my energy into digesting that food that I really need? And it can't do both.
There you go. Good point.
So, if you stop and eat, rest 15, 20, maybe you can't last for 30, but your body's going to digest enough that you're going to have energy to burn, and it's going to be better for you and not worse.
Exactly. Especially for those that, may have diabetes or something like that. Their sugar's dropping.
Exactly. And they need to be, and if you're diabetic, cherry peanut butter. Lots of peanut butter. You can buy those little peanut butter crackers.
Right.
Yeah, people tend to think, oh, my sugar's dropping, let me grab a candy bar, all that. Well, candy, sugar, that's great for the immediate boost, but your sugar's going to go from 40 to 200 and then plummet back down to 40 really quick. Protein, which peanut butter is, will sustain it and keep your sugar up. So, take things, beef jerky's protein, any, thing like that. Take stuff like that will sustain and keep your sugars up.
Exactly. And it's not like these items would take up a lot of space in your pack if you're hiking.
No, you can take a couple packs of peanut butter or cheddar, mix it up. Some cheddar crackers, with the cheese, some peanut butter ones, some beef jerky. Those are things that take up little area, but lots of energy, lots of protein, for you to burn.
Right.
And a bag of Fritos, because if you get lost and you got matches, you can light a bag of Fritos and start a fire.
Yes, you can.
So always carry a bag of Fritos with you.
Right.
The big thing, emergency contact with you, a list of your medications if you're out there tropping in the woods, especially in an area that is not known. I have a list of your meds, your medical history, your emergency contact. If you have diabetes, a heart problem, you have a defibrillator, a pacemaker, have an ID bracelet, necklace, something. Wear something that they'll go, oh, this person has some type of history.
Right. Yeah, especially now with today's technology. I mean, a lot of these phones, they have security access where even if you've got it on your phone, you get into some sort of a situation, somebody comes to help you, they may not be able to access that information or even know it's there.
Well, that's it. You know, my phone, I have a passcode. I leave it on my desk. I leave it in my car. And, you know, so if all my info's on my phone, it ain't going to do a whole lot of good to anybody.
Right. And especially now with the newer phones, some of them have biometric access.
Now, I do have finger access. But I can tell you, after digging for a week in Virginia, my finger don't work yet.
That's why I don't utilize it on mine.
Well, you can do either. You can put in my passcode or you can do finger access. But ever since I went digging, I wore off too much of, I guess, my fingerprint that it isn't accessed in my phone anymore.
Nice. Well, I don't utilize either one on mine. I'm all the time in communication with so many different people. It seems like my nose is in my phone half the time anyway.
But the other thing, water. You know, I grew up on the water. Growing up on the ocean is different than rivers.
Yes, it is.
You know, like. We knew on the island, you don't go to the south side of the island and swim out. There's rip tides, rip currents. And so, you know, everyone went there because it was a cool place to hang out. But nobody really swam. You know, you'd sit on the edge or whatever. But the rest of the island, you can swim safely, you know, unless there's sharks or whatever. But, you know, when Jaws is being filmed there, you tend to wonder. But, in the river, it scares me. I usually, if I hunt in the river, I hunt when it's calm. We haven't had a lot of rain. I like to go when it's really dry in the end of the summer. But I'd love to walk our river. It's pretty shallow. There are some deep spots, but I always worry, what if I was to fall in? What if I was to get stuck in a rock? Nobody sees me and I drown, you know? So be safe. Water, there's a lot of hazards, a lot. Take somebody with you.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, whether it's fresh water or salt water, it doesn't take much to find out you're a long way from home if something happens. I had a friend of mine that he was a very good, very avid water hunter, did great on land too. And, he was out water hunting in Michigan one afternoon. His fiancée and his kids were on the beach watching him, and all of a sudden they heard a couple of girls holler that, they thought somebody needed help. And they formed a chain line and started moving out to him. He was only, I think, 150 yards or so out. It was only 4 feet of water, but it was enough that by the time they got to him, that was that.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
It's unfortunate when that stuff happens. That's why I say, you know, you would be amazed. There are a lot of things that can happen in the water. You're a long way from home, so you have to be prepared. You have to be aware of your environment and keep an eye on what's going on, because you never know what could happen, and it could happen quick.
Yeah, and I've lost friends. When I was a kid, there was a boat that ran aground in a pond, and he tied his 3 kids to him, and they found all 4 of them dead.
Right.
And he had life preservers and everything, life vests. But they ended up all drowning.
Yeah,
So
exactly. I mean, and I refer to it as my glowing mud puddle, but even our lake here, it's, for the locals, we know it's water. It's an element that you have to respect because it does eat people.
Yep. And if you're out there metal detecting in a river, a creek, and you go down, you know, turn yourself around so you're going, if the water's moving, feet first. You don't want your head bumping into a big boulder. It's better to break your ankles than your head.
Absolutely.
And here was the best one. I forget what website I got this, but, you know, I always use good ones. Don't jump in to save a friend.
Well, yeah, I mean, you have to be very careful of diving into unfamiliar water. That's a great way to break your neck and kill yourself.
Well, the thing is, more people die trying to save somebody else.
Right. Yeah.
The adrenaline gets them, they jump in, the water's cold, and then they're a fatality, or they're in the ICU with the other person, you know. And wear good footwear. And I put learn CPR. I'm going to tell you, learn CPR, guys. The best thing you can do. I've saved quite a few people. I've lost quite a few people. But there's always that one time that you're like, thank God I knew what I was doing.
Right. I would have to agree.
The last thing I have to talk about is jellyfish, because we brought that up a month or so ago. And here's the best thing. If they're there, get the heck out of the water and get away from them.
Well, yeah. And I mean, there again, be mindful of your environment and your surroundings. I mean, if you're watching close, you can see them.
Yeah.
You've got to be watching close, though, and especially for the water hunters, you know, you can keep them at distance, and if you're able to, it never hurts to have a wetsuit, just for an extra layer of protection. They can't get you through the wetsuit.
And when it was brought up in the chat, I don't know how many weeks ago, somebody said they heard the pee on it, and you should not pee on it.
I don't think that would be a good idea.
Well, urea will kill the tentacles in the jellyfish, but you don't have enough urea in your urine to do that. So, if you want to pee on yourself, go ahead, but it ain't going to help. They actually recommend pouring vinegar for at least 30 seconds over it will help to loosen the tentacles, or to shower, but your shower is going to be at least 104 to 113 degrees for 20 minutes or more to get them to release. Meat tenderizer is what we always carried, and yes, it actually does reduce the swelling, the pain, and the itching, but it does not remove the tentacles. They say you should actually pull them off with tweezers. And I'm like, I'm just not going to get bit by a jellyfish, you know?
Right, that's just tedious. Well, stung.
And there was some other thing that said, use a credit card, use shaving cream. The shaving cream actually helps. It helps the little cells from releasing toxins. So give yourself wash it with vinegar, shoot yourself with some shaving cream. It actually says you can use a credit card to run it down your legs, and that will remove the tentacles. I thought that was pretty cool.
Right. I can't help but think that this sounds very similar to some sort of a twisted frat party prank.
Oh, I had a good laugh when I was reading some of the stuff they wrote about jellyfish, but to me, I've been stung once or twice by the little teeny white ones, but guess what? It only took me to get stung once to get the heck out of the water. Because if there's one, there's more.
Right. Yeah, and you've got to, like I said, be aware of your environment, be aware of your surroundings. When I was water hunting there on Cape Cod, that we knew it was going to be potentially jellyfish season in the area, so we made sure we weren't going into the water without our suits.
Absolutely. And I know we didn't talk about Lyme. I have looked at the CDC, the Massachusetts.gov, other places, and there are absolutely no new statistics from what I shared with you all in the spring.
And on that topic, if people have not caught the spring Field Safety and Medical Awareness show, they may be a little surprised on what we had to say about Lymes on that episode.
Yeah, it still kills me that that the CDC says Massachusetts does not report their statistics. Well, Massachusetts hasn't reported their own statistics since 2014. So Massachusetts may want to get the lead out of their butt and start posting true statistics so that people know what they're getting into by going there.
I still say that's due to tourism or something, though, because, I mean, when you're talking Lymes, you're talking ground zero.
Yeah, and it's getting worse. If you want an eye-opener, go to the CDC. You don't even have to search. Just type in the search, Lyme disease statistics, and it will go, here's a map, and you click on it, and the U.S. is greening out. In the Northeast, most states are so green, which there's a dot for every place that somebody's had Lyme, and there are states that there's hardly any white left on them.
Right. And I've heard plenty of people that say, oh, but that'll never happen to me. I don't travel or whatever their logic is behind it. But don't ever think that it won't ever happen to you. I mean, clearly from the Springfield Safety and Medical Awareness show, there's reports of Lyme's disease and other disorders carried by ticks in many states that you would be surprised to even realize that it's showed up there.
Oh, yeah. So if you want to know all the stats, you can hook into the spring show. But I lived on Martha's Vineyard, which they consider the real ground zero. There's more cases for 100 square miles there than anywhere. And I lived there for 21 years. I've gone back since then at least 50, 60 times. And the one time I went into the woods as an adult, I got it. I lived in the woods as a kid and never got it.
Right,
so
the one time you let your guard down.
Yeah, and it shows how more prevalent it is from the 60s or 70s compared to 2000 something.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it definitely has no barriers. I mean, it doesn't care sex, race, gender, age, nothing.
Nope, and I can tell you when I went to Kentucky for my hunt back in October, I bought the little permethrin. It looks like a lipstick case, but it's bug spray for ticks. And when they said we had a woods hunt, it was seeded. I stuck it in my pouch and I whipped it out and somebody went, oh, I did that an hour ago. And I'm like, you sure you don't want to freshen up? Yeah. You did it an hour ago, but we're heading out in 20, 30 minutes. I'm waiting till like 10 minutes before I go to freaking slap this stuff all over me.
Right. And the permethrin does work.
Yeah, and so now they have these nice little, they're about the size of a Sharpie with a spray. They're a couple bucks, but I if you buy the bigger one for $6, $7, $8 or $15 or whatever, eventually it's not going to be any good. So you might as well spend the $3, $4 for the small one, you know, unless you metal detect every day because you don't have a job or you're retired. But, you know, I may go a month or two. So I want to make sure what I'm using is good and active and want it to run out and then buy me a new one.
Right. Very good point. Never hurts to be prepared, and I'd rather be on the safe side.
Absolutely. Well, I appreciate we went way over and we were late, and I apologize again for being late. You know, computer technology sometimes just doesn't work out the way it should.
Well, that is true. Before we go, I guess we should go ahead and mention the metal detecting Christmas giveaway again.
Oh, God, yes. And I have not cataloged everything. If I took a picture of my chair, we have to say nobody can sit in it. But the boxes are now up to over 3 feet high in the chair of things that I collected in Virginia, things that have been mailed to me, and I will catalog it this week, within the next 2 weeks, and get it all in a spreadsheet. We have some pillowcases, the quilts. Denny gave me nice little cases with an Indian head penny, a bullet, and I think a button. Yeah, he was like, "Ha, you see what I put in there?" I was like, "Don't push your luck, buddy."
Right.
Yeah. Frankie Bershon gave us 10 cases with all kinds of artifacts.
Those were sharp.
Oh God, I can't think of his name. I call him Boston. He brings the chowder to DID. He gave me a backpack. I've got 2 shovels. And I have a whole case of silver that I dug in Kentucky with bullets that I plan on donating. So we've got 4 detectors. I think I have $200 in cash to buy something from Chuck. You can PayPal me money. I don't care if it's $5, $10. It's candyforknc@frontier.com. Every penny that goes into the account will get spent on something for kids. So we have everything from coins to you name it, we got it. I think we'll probably make, I'd say probably at least 60, 70 kids happy this year.
Nice. So things are going along well with that, and we are still currently taking donations for that. And the link for the Facebook group is in the description. There are admins that will get you added as soon as possible if you're not already a member.
And Michael wants to know, can you send me engines? Yes, and I will give them away. It will hurt, but I will give them away. That is quite fine.
Right. We have tried it. They do go to the proper people. If I remember right, I think Chuck included an Indian in with the pinpointer last year, and that was received by the right person.
Exactly. So it's going to be another great year. Matt Jones had hooked me up with, is it D-Lock? With, Macro Note.
Oh, the Nocta Macro Simplex.
Yeah, he hooked me up with her. I haven't heard back from her, but we're hoping that, she will help us out and be detective number 5.
Ah, I see. Very nice. Anything else we add?
No, I'm topped out. I need a beer.
Oh my God, I don't think I've ever heard that from you. That's all right, though. That's the way it goes. And obviously, you can always check out the great posts over on Dirt Pirates Detecting and Dirt Pirates upcoming events.
And thanks for having me, guys. I know you're all paying attention to Bill. He was making smart remarks in the chat all night long. But, hey, yeah, Mike, if you can get something from White, I'll take it. Last year we had 8 detectors. We're scrambling to get that this year. And it's going to be a great time. And we're going to make kids see things that they never had to do before. You know, all in good fun stuff.
Right. We had a great time with it last year. Not mentioning any names, Chuck, but that's where it all kind of started. You know, Chuck can be on sight and sound, and we roped Barb in, although it wasn't all that hard. And look at what's going on, second year in a row. Continued success.
So, share our page, The Great Christmas Metal Detecting Giveaway. It's on Facebook, and it'll be happening the weekend of the 13th, 14th, 15th. And as soon as I get things cataloged, I will share a list on the page of everything we have to give away.
Right, and make sure if they're not already a member, when you get in there, read the rules. Make sure to put in who you're playing for, who the kids are, because it is for kids ages 5 to 15. And it'll be a good time.
It'll be a great time.
Absolutely. All right, well, hang in there with me, Barb, for a couple of minutes. For everyone else, I think we're going to get on out of here. But if you enjoyed the show, make sure and throw us a like. Follow us here on Spreaker, Facebook, YouTube, the podcast distribution services. Who knows? We're out there everywhere. Join us on one of them, all of them, or none of them. The choice is entirely up to you. But until the next time, we have got to go. Have a wonderful evening, folks. We're out of here.